My brother almost died.
Whoa.
Yeah, he got shocked. He was on top of an 8-foot ladder. He was putting together a bunch of like lights in a classroom, was making it up, and he got caught between the hot and the neutral, and he got stuck.
Oh no.
His heart stopped. He fell off the 8-foot ladder. He hit the ground. His heart started right back up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good thing he fell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Cody Troutman, and this is my podcast, the Cody Trout Pod.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Welcome back to the Cody Trout Pod. Uh-oh, hold on. The studio audience going wild. It's, you know what's weird is the acoustics, and only I can hear it in the headset, but trust me, the studio audience loves you. Nick Campbell, welcome to the show.
What's going on, bud?
Man, it's good to have you.
Thanks. It's
You
good
know
to be
what?
here.
We weren't even going to have Nick on today, but I needed some circuitry rewired in my house, and Campbell & Sons Electric was here doing a great job, and my guest flaked on me. And so I said, hey, you in the attic, are you funny? And then I was like, Nick, is that you? I'm just kidding. That, you
I
know
would
what?
have got dressed for it if I'd have known.
In my head, that little riff was funny, and then as I was looking at you saying it, I was like, I don't think this is
Well,
very
I
funny.
say we go ahead and make it true. I'll go ahead and do some work for you.
Yeah.
I'll charge you double.
Okay,
that
good.
way
Thank God.
we can pay for this.
Yeah, I was thinking you get what you pay for, so it's best to just overcharge. That way the work is better.
That way it's perceived value.
Perceived value.
Yeah.
Have you ever run into that? Oh, that's a good... So you're an electrician.
Yeah. Electrical contractor. I own my own business. Campbell &
Electrical
Son Electric.
Is an electrical contractor different from an electrician?
Well, it's electrical journeyman, so they can do like a contractor can own a business. Electrical journeyman can work by himself in that business. An apprentice has to be within a journeyman, so they don't get hurt.
So you're a contractor and a journeyman, basically?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I can do all.
Gotcha.
I can do all of it. So I'm an unlimited contractor. I can do commercial, industrial, and residential.
The highest level of certification.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
pretty
sir.
cool.
It is. It's nice. It was hard to do.
Yeah.
It was hard to do, but we got it.
As an electrician, electrical contractor, have you ever encountered a situation where you're bidding a job and the perceived value of it maybe was affected by the price charged? Like if you're charging a lot, they're like, oh, this must be a swanky operation. Or if you're charging a lower price, they're like, oh, how can we know? Or is everybody just kind of like, I need a cheap price?
Yeah, it depends on who you go with. Something I like to tell people who do start businesses is not everyone is your client.
Gotcha.
Not everybody you're going to work well with. Just like, some people like going to Target, some people like going to Walmart.
Gotcha.
Right? Usually people who just want to get the stuff and who don't care the quality, you go to Walmart.
Yeah,
right?
I can see Days working at Walmart.
Cheap and Well, you go to Target, they would never let Dace in at Target.
They wouldn't even let him in the door.
With that mustache? No, I love Dace. Did you see he just did he just did a show this past weekend at Bricktown?
Yeah, he did a guest spot with Mikey B.
Yeah, that was cool. But no, there is a perceived value. Like if you charge too low, then you could be perceived as not as of quality.
Gotcha.
Right. And so a great example of that is places like your neighborhood or like Galardia.
Yeah.
If you charge too low, they'll be like, oh, well, he's probably going to mess something up. And so they won't even mess with you if you charge below a certain amount.
Interesting.
And perception is super important. So
Yeah.
a clean truck, show up. I like wearing button-up shirts.
Yeah, your truck, your van is very nice, very clean.
Liz did the lettering. Actually,
Whoa.
yeah, she's really good. She had Cricut. She has a Cricut. She cut the lettering. She measured it out, did all the stuff. Yeah,
That's
it was
incredible.
amazing. Yeah, it only cost me $1,000.
And a lifetime commitment to her as your wife.
Yeah, well,
that was part of the deal.
She's doing her part. So.
Said, listen, baby, I'm cool with just dating, but if you want to get married, I need some lettering on my van.
Yeah,
And that was the deciding factor.
But no, she helps out a lot, man. We work really well together. We're very fortunate in that.
Yeah.
So, a lot of guys will ask their wives to help or do the books and all that. In our case, we have 3 kids, so she had to switch back to being basically a chauffeur.
Yeah.
And driving them back and forth to school and all this stuff. So she still helps, but she does kind of the email and stuff like that. But she was super helpful, man. So
dude, that's cool.
Yeah, so we work really well together, and we take that right into comedy too. So it's nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all run multiple businesses together.
Yeah, at
you
this
run
point,
Campbell and Son Electric, and then Nick Campbell Comedy Productions. Is that the official?
It's just Nick Campbell Comedy.
Nick Campbell Comedy,
LLC.
no productions.
Yeah.
I did want to ask because I think there's a number of things about you that are really interesting. What would you like to jump into first? Being a comedy producer, being a dad and stepdad, or being an electrician? What's at the forefront of your frontal cortex right now?
Well, I just got off work.
Got off work.
Yeah, and we're already on it. You want to do electrical? You want to do electrician stuff?
Yeah. So I got off at work. You know what I'm saying? That's.
Let me tell you about perceived value. If I come into your house, and I'm going to say this just as a warning to anybody, if I come into your house and you're a jerk, I add 25%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've walked in and somebody was like, this is during COVID, and I'm not saying anything. It was just a bad attitude as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But at the time, we were doing masks,
Okay.
And so I walked up there, and he had a maid, which is cool. Again, love the service industry. But she opens the door, and I go, hey, are you guys wearing masks? She's like, he's not going to want to wear a mask. I was like, he doesn't have to. We're going to wear one. She's like, okay. And so she goes, meet him in the garage. And so we go to the garage because we're going to install, we're doing some generator stuff. We get in there, and I had just gotten over COVID. And during COVID, I was coughing up blood. It was bad. It was bad. Liz passed out standing up.
You got real COVID.
Yeah, it was rough. Well, I would get tired. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, and not bragging. It's a super great game. But I would get tired from playing a video game.
Whoa.
And I would just fall asleep in my chair. That's how bad it had gotten. Whoa. And everybody got it. And we're all just it was just rough. So I was 2 weeks from that. So I was starting to feel better, but I had the head fuzz and my breathing was still a little rough, but I was working. I had to. You got to eat. So we go into this garage, we got the masks on, and he comes in, he's like, hey man, you believe in that crap? I was like, I just had COVID. I just had it. He's like, well, it probably wasn't that bad. I was like, I coughed up blood. He was like, well, I mean, that's cool, whatever. And then walked off. I was like, all right, man, whatever. And so I'm working on getting the estimate, and I knock on his door. He comes back through. And then he's like, I go, hey, it's going to be this, and he goes, man, how much of that is materials? I was like, enough to cover the materials. And he was like, he automatically combative. He's highly aggressive. He goes, man, that stuff's fake. They brought that over from China and all this stuff. I was like, man, I'm trying to install a generator. I don't care. Really? Yeah. But he tried to sit me down. I sent my apprentice to the truck. I was like, go get in the truck. And then I was like, I don't think we're going to be doing this today. Yeah. But he tried to sit me down and for 15 minutes convince me that I was wrong and I didn't have COVID. And so I was like, he goes, basically, and then he asked me to break down my price again. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. It's the price. It is what it is. It's this to do it or not. And then he said, well, I don't know if we can do that. And I was like, just to let you know right now, it went up 25% more. He's like, why? I was like, I don't like your attitude, dude. This is crazy.
It's salesman of the year.
Well,
right?
It's my business. I get to pick who I work with. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want my employees to do this. This is unheard of. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I have done that. I walked up. I worked on a commercial site. I went up to the guy. He goes, hey, can you open this? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll get my tools and stuff. I was like, once we start opening things though, I start doing a troubleshoot fee because I thought I was here for an estimate. He's like, well, no. Come inside. I was like, okay, cool. So we go in. Kind of look at a few things, throw him a rough estimate. I come back outside. He's telling me how to do my job. One of those are my favorite. Yeah. So it's a sign that they can't get the power to anymore. Okay. The power comes under the ground. It's broken from here to about 125 foot in the building. Okay. Right. So my thoughts are, okay, I'm going to go ahead. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to do a discovery, which is basically time and material until I figure out where the break is. Once I know where the break is, I can give you a hard price for repair. He's like, why can't you give me a hard price for the digging? I was like, because I'm going to give you a price for the amount that I'm at risk for. Okay. Right? Because time and material, there's no risk. But if I have to just guess, risk goes up. I have to charge for what potentially could be versus what is. Okay. Right? And he's like, well, if you can't do that, then you're probably not a good electrician. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, I bet you can find somebody else then. And so we're walking out. He's like, hey, man, you can't just look at this box, you know? And I was like, hey, look, even if I wanted to, I'm not going to. I don't want to work with you. You know? He's like, why? I was like, you just told me I wasn't a good electrician. You know? I was like, do you talk to people like that? Just normal? That's just how you talk to people? You know?
Huh.
And then I just walked off, separated, you know? No harm done. He's like, all right. And left. You know? You get to choose who you work with.
That is true.
Yeah, it's your business.
That is true.
Now, I don't do that. That's not my goal. I don't go in there with a bad attitude. You know me. I'm super happy and like, hey, how's it going? But as soon as somebody's like, hey, man, you're like, oh, no, you forget who's in charge here. I don't have to be here.
Okay. Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. So one thing I'm curious about is like, this may be like too in the weeds. The listeners may be bored by this question, but I'm curious. You said that you don't provide like a materials labor breakdown and an estimate.
It depends on who you are again.
Because from my perspective, like when we had our warehouse, that stuff was really important for us to figure out cost estimates. So, because I've always had to, because I found a lot of, whether it was contractors, skilled laborers, anything, they're like really resistant to providing that. And I could never understand why. But I've always been on the other side of it because we were constructing something for ourselves. We had to like put it all together. So why is there so much resistance to providing that information?
Well, in your case, I think it's a little different. Whenever I went over there to look at it, I didn't have a problem. And you're also my friend. But you want to sell on the value of the work.
Okay.
You don't want to sell on your hourly rate.
Okay.
That's what he's trying. That's what somebody normally, typically, that's what that one guy was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
He was like, how much are your parts? I was like, the parts are what they are. The price is what, no matter what, the price doesn't change. You know, again, unless he wasn't trying to be, hey, let's figure this out so we can use you.
Okay.
It was, let's figure this out so I know where you're at so I can, you know, break down. They're looking to break down your price and judge it.
Okay.
You know, I had one customer loved my reviews. What I like to do is provide an experience, you know. I'm one truck, so I can't win things at volume.
Okay.
You know, I have to win it based on the experience you have with me, the trust that you have.
Gotcha.
I'm going to be there no matter what because it's what put food on my table.
Yeah.
So when I show up, a lot of my reviews are why people saw me, a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So I go in and he's like, man, we loved your reviews. It was amazing. Man, we really want to use you. We had a friend that said this. And then we go through and he's wanting me to take out a wire that would void the fixture. So he's like, can you replace this wire with a different color wire so it matches this thing over here? I was like, okay, cool. Just to let you know, it's notated on the fixture that if you do that, it's voided.
Like voided warranty? Is that what you're saying?
It voids the warranty on the fixture. Gotcha. So I told him, I was like, we're not responsible for any of the voided warranty. I can do it for you.
Okay.
And he's like, okay. I was like, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. And then I moved to the next piece and he had a bunch of work. So I'm going over the pricing and he goes, man, it's kind of more than I thought it was going to be, you know? And here's the thing is I have people who would have paid that no problem. Yeah. No issue. You know, it's just different people have different standards. Like I said, they perceive value differently and they assume that because it's construction that it's easy or that majority of contractors are out there swindling people. Okay. Like a lot of, not a majority, but you know, like there's enough out there that give us a bad name. There's a reason why they say that, you know? Gotcha. But he goes, because I just don't see, you know, why it's that expensive. And I was like, well, you know, a majority, this in that case, this estimate is it's an estimate. If I get it done in less time, then I'll just charge you that. That's typically how I like to do it personally, because I have to guess and I like to give people a hard number before we even start, so nobody's looking over my shoulder for time and material. Yeah. But I tell them that as a caveat is like, hey, if it ends up being less, then I'll go ahead and do it. Majority of the time, I'm pretty good at guessing because I've done it for so long. Yeah. So he writes, he goes, well, what's your hourly rate? You know? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you that. Because he's not looking for the value. He's looking for cheap. You know? So I told him, I was like, why'd you call us? Do you have good reviews? Well, this is what it costs for me to do a good job for you. Would you want me to make it less so I do a poorer job? You want me to do a less quality job than these other reviews that you saw? This is what they paid, right? It's like something has to give, the quality or the cost. Which one do you want to do? And he was like, nah, never mind. Go ahead and go, you know? And so we left, and he immediately wrote a bad review.
Dang.
Didn't even use us, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, they wouldn't take responsibility for the fixture that I wanted installed, which is not the case.
Yeah.
And then he said he wouldn't provide an hourly rate. I don't understand why he wouldn't. That doesn't even make sense to me. All this other stuff. I was like, oh, you don't go, and this is an example that's been used a lot, but you don't go to McDonald's and ask them to take off pickles and then take off 50 cents. Right?
Well, I usually ask, but maybe
But they don't take off 50% or 50 cents.
They usually won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have to buy it as the whole. And if you want to take something off, then like a tomato or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. The burger costs what the burger costs, right? It costs me to do this job, whether you know the information behind it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for people like you or people that where the information is important, because I can't break it down like that either. Like I did all the math 2 years ago. I pull up items on a list, you know?
Yeah.
And so the more items you do, basically what it is if you do one item, it's $250 an hour, right? But the more items you do, it could become $160. So the more time I'm there, the less it costs me to be there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're out, we can get into this kind of crazy. But anyways.
But it makes sense though, because especially since your operation is one truck, you have to factor in like travel time, assessment time. So if you're there for like a whole week, it would make sense that the hourly rate effectively might be less because you're just working on one. But if you have to like, even if the job only takes you 15 minutes, but you had to drive 30 minutes to get there, takes you 25 minutes to figure out what's going on, 10 minutes to negotiate, then you can get started, do it for 15 minutes, then it takes you 10 minutes to collect the money and get out, 40 minutes to get to the next job. It's like, well, yeah, maybe time with the pliers was 10 minutes, but this was a 2.5 hour ordeal.
Exactly. That's why today is going to cost you so much.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I had a feeling.
But you're bringing expertise to their home.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You know, it's like you're saying you're doing all that because basically what it is your overhead for the entire year divided by the amount of actual hours you can bill for.
Okay.
Okay. So my average, ideally, if I have a good day, I get 4 billable hours a day. Gotcha. That's where I actually make the money, what I can bill to the customer. But I worked 8 hours.
Yeah, but the rest of it, you're like transportation, bidding, you know.
All that other stuff that makes it happen.
Yeah.
So if I can get more work, then that's when the cost can fall.
Gotcha.
Right? But if not, then I have to, if I show up for an hour, it's at least $215.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
For the minimum. And every contractor has a minimum. If they don't, they're going to be out of business soon.
Yeah.
Because you have to have some form of minimum.
Yeah.
And I try to do 4 billable hours a day, and that's 50% efficiency. And that's average for a service company.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing new construction, your guys show up at 7, they leave at 3. That's 90% efficiency because there's never 100.
Yeah.
Right. So you can charge 7 billable hours a day, which is a complete difference. That's over a year. You're getting almost your 2,000 hours. For
yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, but if you're at 50% efficiency, you're only getting 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
So you have to. That's why service companies cost so much to come to your house.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that part.
The more you know.
And it's some of that expertise is hard to come by. I think there's kind of like perceived. How would I describe it? I think especially before. In the last like 5 to 10 years, I've had to learn a lot of handyman type skills for work at our warehouse. And before that, I kind of had an understanding of like, you either kind of know it or you don't. But then once you get into it, you realize the spectrum of knowledge and how difficult things can be when they're stacked on top of each other. I think that's sometimes gets lost to an inexperienced customer. Is it's like, oh, you're just like changing this thing out, or they don't realize all that goes into it. I mean, I didn't.
Well, that's where education too. Like, it's like comedy, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for shared knowledge. When you're going in there, you're looking for what is the benefit to the customer because they don't know what I know. You're trying to you're basically going like, how can I use, if this is my main language, but they only know a little bit of the language, what words can I use to effectively share this idea,
Okay.
right? So how can I effectively share that this person, that this is of value, right? Or of a value that they're paying for, or that they're
Okay.
getting with the purpose. So it's the experience. So I keep a really clean space. I make sure that I'm very mindful of what I'm doing. I'm in their home. You're in their home.
Yeah.
You're in their very personal space, you know, and you have to make it comfortable quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, smile, shake hand, it's easy. When you walk through somebody's living room, you get to know everything about them in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's where I think comedy comes into play, is I'll play off of what they have, talk to them about things, you know, like find an understanding, find what's important to them, and then sell to that point.
Okay.
And comedy is very much like that. When you're having conversation, doing crowd work, you're really just going, all right, he's wearing these shoes. He's this person. He's probably a tradesman, 50% chance. If not, then he's definitely a salesman. You know, you kind of like,
Gotcha.
you ask questions pertaining to what you assume. Stereotypes are important.
Yeah.
And what you assume of them, and then go from there. Then be genuinely interested. That's what I try to do in people's homes. I'm genuinely interested in solving your problem today.
Gotcha.
Same thing on stage. I'm genuinely interested in making you happy, making you laugh.
So there's some parallels between being an electrician, being a comedian. What about, have you ever had a job or a coworker, like a crazy story that you can share about the world of being an electrical contractor? Because I know some of the stuff can get a little dangerous.
Yeah, if you're working on the south side, yeah. I'm not, it was one of the scariest. I went to like 29th in Southwest 29th, which is basically over by Rancho Village. I worked over there like 29th of May.
Okay.
And it's just a rougher spot. I mean,
Kendall's.
20 Southwest 29th of May. So
Way further south.
yeah. So you're looking like it used to be Griders, but now it's the El Supermercado. But it's like right there, and there's like a pawn shop. But I've worked on that side of town, and it is where you have to. I had an apprentice stand outside with a van, and whenever they had to get me something, I'd have them just run back and forth for me instead of us both going out there.
Dang.
Yeah, and there would be people. They would like walk by and just wait. He would go inside, and then they kind of look at the van. I was like, go back outside.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's not even the danger of the voltage. It's the danger of potential nefarious individuals.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, in any neighborhood, I like to keep my stuff locked because I got friends that do this too.
Yeah.
Plumbers, HVAC guys, they left their van unlocked. Somebody just came by, opened the door, grabbed a tool, shut it, and walked off.
Dang.
And it's like that quick.
And that's going to be the tool you need for that job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, normally. Yeah. But it's, I've had a couple instances where people like tried my doors or, stuff like that. But I don't know. It's my livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So I take real good care of the van and everything that's in it. I probably have everything I need to do anything I need in that thing.
Nice.
I call it my Mary Poppins van.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just show up and do work.
What about as far as like dangerous jobs, not in terms of area of town, but like electrical wiring and voltage? Like when does it get really complex or scary, or or have you just been doing it so long, the safety procedures, and even if you're working with a wire where it's like, hey, if I touch this, it kills me, that's just part of the job.
That is kind of just part of that understanding of like, but you also get, I've been shocked way more being an electrical contractor than I ever was when I worked for somebody else. Okay. Because I work mostly new construction. So new construction, there's nothing really on until you get to a certain point. But even then there's like breakers, you have breaker locks, you have things that you can do. One of my first times being an electrician, a guy got me shocked. Yeah. It was a guy named Tracy Hubble, which he doesn't watch TV, or internet. But we were working on a disconnect. It's 480 volts. Ooh. Yeah, it was tough. I got to taste my fillings. Oh. Yeah, you can taste you're like, oh.
At what voltage is it potentially deadly?
75.
Oh, shit.
You can feel 75. You can get caught up on like 120. And it's not the voltage, it's the amperage. Okay. So you can, at 0.5 volts, it takes 10 minutes to kill you, right? Whoa. Or something like that. But as the amperage goes higher, or at 0.5 amps. Okay. It'll kill you. But in most houses and circuitry is the top is 20 amps. So it'll trip at 20, right? Yeah. So
that's a little higher than 0.9.
So it doesn't take very long. My brother almost died.
Whoa.
Yeah, he got shocked.
You're like from a boating accident, but he did almost.
Yeah. No, a bunch of times, but this time was electrical.
Yeah.
And he was on top of an 8-foot ladder. He was putting together a bunch of like lights in a classroom, the drop-in lights.
Yeah.
And he didn't turn the breaker off. He just turned the switch off, which was his mess up. He should have known better. But he went ahead and was making it up, and he got caught between the hot and the neutral, and he got stuck.
Oh no.
His heart stopped. He fell off the 8-foot ladder. He hit the ground. His heart started right back up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good thing he fell.
Yeah. Yeah. He's 250 pounds too. So, or 300 pounds probably back then.
Damn.
But he hit it. And then but he didn't get up. So my dad went over there, and my dad's one of the nicest guys in the world, non-combative, not soft-spoken, but he's like, he's just that
real
way.
mellow,
chill, go with the flow. But he runs and finds the guy. It was the superintendent who turned on the light switch. And he knew they were working back there, but still it was Josh's fault for not putting the breaker on lock. But dad was, and of all people, my dad would never say this, but he did. He was like, he's like, if my son's dead, I'm going to kill you. And that was my dad. So everybody was like, you better get out of here.
Yeah.
Just in case. So they took him to the hospital. I actually was working at the hospital.
Whoa.
That they took him at. They took him to Mercy. And I was working on the generator.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were changing out the generators.
Might need to change out your brother's chest generator.
Yeah, yeah. He goes, so my dad goes, hey man, Josh is up there. Can you go up there and check him out? I was like, yeah, I'll run up there. So I run up, and he's laying there, and he's like, dog, cat, birdfish, just like gone,
Whoa.
I was like, is that the drugs? He's like, no, he's kind of like rewired right now just because of the electricity. Damn. But we're gonna have to keep him for a few days. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, then I'll stay. So I stayed the night there, and we were watching Ratatouille, and he was trying to say something about Ratatouille, and he just couldn't get it out.
Whoa.
He's like, oh, Pat Nozzle sucks. Just like, but no, he was like, man, you all right? And they're like, he's just going to be that way for a little bit. I was like, okay. So I woke up the next morning, and he was like talking straight and shit. I was like, okay, he's coming around. Yeah.
When he was like all discombobulated and talking nonsense, was it scary? You were like, he might be stuck like this.
A little bit. He's like, no, it happens. Well, the first thing I thought was like, damn, I hope that don't happen to me.
Yeah.
Because we're pretty much the same. Like me and him, we look the same. We kind of talk the same. I was like, man, but for the most part, it was all right. He couldn't eat because they might have to take him to surgery.
Dang.
Because when you get shocked, it kills your muscle, and the muscle goes through your bloodstream, and when it hits your kidneys, it can poison your kidneys.
Whoa.
So they kind of keep tabs on you to make sure that you're like, all right, you're good. And they checked him, made sure he was good. And so he didn't have to do the surgery, which was good. But they didn't feed him. And my brother's a big boy. He ate, at the time, 2 loaves of bread a week, right?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
With other things, not just bread. It's like lots of sandwiches.
A lot of people are into making sure they get protein. He's just getting gluten. Okay.
Yeah,
Those are his building blocks.
Did you ever try to get the most carbs you can?
He's carb loading for the marathon he's running in 5 years.
He's going to roll through it.
Yeah.
But he goes,
Damn.
so we get done. They're talking about letting him out. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, all right, well, I'll take you home. We'll get you taken care of. And we drive off, and he goes, hey man, can we go get some Taco Bell? I was like, yeah, dude, we can get whatever the hell you want. And we drive through Taco Bell, and we pull up, and I go, order whatever you want. And he's like, 3 cheesy gordita crunches.
Damn.
I want 2 quesadillas. I want 2 Crunchwrap Supremes. I want this. I'm like, dang, dude. And a large soda. I was like, all right. I was like, okay, I'll have a burrito supreme, I guess. Dang.
Yeah.
And a water cup. And we drive up, and we get to the window, and she says, all right, that'll be $65.
Damn.
I was like, dang,
65 at T-Bell's impressive.
Yeah, I look at him, and he goes, I was like, oh, you ain't got it? All right, dude, that's cool. All right. And then I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and pay for it then. And paid for it, walked away. And then, I was like, damn, I wish you'd have died. No, man. And now he's like, he went after that, he quit. And he was like, screw it, I'm hitchhiking across the country. Yeah, he was like, he just wanted to do it. Jack Kerouac, man. And so him and his buddy left. They drove the car as far as it would go until it ran out of gas, pushed it in the river, and kept rolling.
Pushed it in a river?
It was it was pretty bad.
Damn, that's kind of hardcore.
Yeah, they were
like,
just like,
we could probably sell this thing for a couple $1,000. How about we push it in a river?
you would. It was. it was on its last leg. Like they were like, yeah, this will be fun.
Damn.
You know?
One of my close friends, he decided he was done with civilized life and kind of did something similar. He just like burned all his bridges and he started freight train hopping.
Oh, really?
And I'll get a call from him once every 8 months or so from a random number. And I answer it and he's like, hey, what's up? It's me. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just found a stranger who let me use their phone. I'm in Montana, brother. Life is good. I'm like, okay.
Just out hopping trains?
Yeah, he'll send me little videos of him just like on a train. It's crazy.
That is nuts. Does he? I'm surprised because they usually get there. I mean, if they get caught, it's over.
Yeah, it's like a federal crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been doing it a while.
Yeah. Well, Josh ended up after that. He did that for like 3 years, and it really made my dad mad because my dad was co-signed on a truck for him. And he's
and they pushed it in a river.
No. I knew he was going to leave, and it was a nice truck.
Ooh.
So I was like, hey man, I'll take over the payment.
Yeah.
To help mom and dad.
For sure. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
and then
gotta help out mom and dad.
When dad was like, you know where Josh is at? I was like, no, maybe. He's like, where is he at? I was like, man, he's gone.
God.
He just went hitchhiking across. But when he came back, he became a piercer. He's like one of the best piercers in the country.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He lives out in Ann Arbor, if anybody.
Nice.
Ideal Piercings.
There we go.
Yeah.
We actually have a sponsorship with a piercing competitor, so we're gonna have to bleep that out.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
I get your point.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm actually I'm a piercer myself. I specialize in hot women's nipples only. That's kind of everybody has their niche that just happens to be mine.
Mm-hmm. There's like 4 of those.
Yeah. I specialize in also ass tattoos for again hot women only.
Sass toots?
Yeah, it's just an expertise that I have that it just doesn't work on men or unattractive women. It's just one of those things. It's just how I was trained.
Very niche.
Yeah.
Niche, only beautiful people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm very expensive as well. Perceived value.
Perceived value. We did it. We brought it right back around, dude.
One thing you were talking about, so maybe this is morbid curiosity. I noticed you using the word shocked. Electrocuted means died, right? Is that right? I've heard something like that.
Both? I don't know.
Are they interchangeable?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
So when you get electrocuted or shocked by that much voltage, it sounds like your body shuts down. Like you were saying, your brother, pieces of muscle could have fallen off and clogged his kidneys. His brain got scrambled. Are those things that they teach you about as you're training to be an electrician, or are they just like, be careful out there?
We don't want to tell you because you'll leave.
Yeah. Is it something like that where
they tell you?
Okay.
It's a part of the train. Like all the time when I was growing up, I don't know if it's going to be like that with them taking out OSHA though. I liked OSHA. I like getting my OSHA 10. I've got my OSHA 30 twice.
What's an OSHA 30?
It's like OSHA 10 is you do OSHA training for 10 hours and OSHA 30 is you do OSHA training for 30 hours.
Okay.
And that
makes sense.
I worked for the union for a couple of years and they put you through the OSHA 10, and then another outfit put me through OSHA 30 just because they can they can spend less on their insurance if they do that.
Okay.
So if they have qualified people, then their insurance will bring the cost down.
That makes sense.
So for the business, it's beneficial, but also for the human. I always like doing we did job talks where you would sit there and every Monday somebody would have to read. So first off, you're going to make fun of somebody. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But somebody would have to read the job talk and then everybody would have to sign the bottom.
Okay.
And so every year you would go over the same stuff and it got repetitive, but everybody knew throughout the whole thing. So that's something my brother didn't really get because he had just started. But they'll show you with the union, they showed you videos of people getting shocked and situations. Videos. Well, here's the thing, dude.
They just show you footage of people in the electric chair. They're like, yeah, this guy did murder 7 people, but the same thing could happen to you.
It's worse than that. I would have rather be in the electric chair. Oh. Yeah. It showed one guy after he got shocked, he had one arm gone, a messed up leg. He's a face was all melted. It was crazy, but it wasn't after, it was after he healed. So it wasn't right after it happened to him, but he told his testimony, guys, make sure you do your safety, do all this. So they scare you into, I got to make sure I take care of myself, right? Dang. Because you take care of yourself and others. It's not just you, But one of the videos, a lot of the videos, was arc flash. Arc flash is whenever you have a large potential.
Okay.
And it happens majority in like MDPs, so like bigger factories and like, or it can happen in like a commercial, like your place. That's the arc fault can happen there.
Damn.
It's any place with a large amount. Transformers.
I think that
like,
happened to my dad when he wasn't careful one time.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it like blow up in his face?
Yes.
Yeah. Did he get like pieces of metal stuck in his like skin and stuff?
Luckily he was wearing some protective equipment.
Yeah.
But yeah. I was like, what are you doing back there?
So the video that got me is there's a guy and he's standing in front of this cabinet.
Okay.
And he's got this big old door open, and what you have to do is you have to charge the breaker. Like some of the breakers you have to charge, like when they're that big, so like 1500 amps.
Oh,
and you have to have before they put on suits. Now you have to have a whole suit. You have to do it from afar with the hook.
Dang.
And then when you pull it because of this scenario right here.
Yeah.
So the guy goes up. He's cranking it. He's cranking the breaker. He's cranking it hard. I mean, he's really getting after it.
Hey, I love when a blue collar man cranks it.
There's people there watching him, and they're like, "Look at him crank that motherfucker." Yeah. They're like, look at him go.
When a big blue collar man starts cranking it, people watch.
You getting tired? It's only been 3 minutes. It's like,
okay, I'm back. Sorry.
You're getting. He goes. Well, he's sitting there, and then the video's on him, and his buddy's back there, kind of like talking to him. And he kind of looks over, and he just throws the thing on. The explosion is so hot it melts copper. It melts metal.
Oh.
It vaporizes it, so it's in the air. One of the things you do when that happens is breathe in.
Shit.
So you breathe in the heat, and it collapses your lungs immediately. Right?
Oh,
That's
man.
if you're lucky.
Oh.
Otherwise, you just disintegrate. The only thing that left was his boots.
Oh my God.
Pretty good boots. Wolverine. They're pretty good boots.
It's like a cartoon.
Yeah. But they show you that and they're like, all right, get back out there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they'll show you videos like that and they'll ask you, what do you think you did wrong? What do you think you could have done to do better? And then you kind of go over all that stuff and then you move to the next video.
So in that situation, what did he do wrong?
He didn't have his suit.
Okay.
You're supposed to have like a
rubber
flash
suit.
It's arc flash, so it's RFs. They're like cloths that you can't burn.
Okay.
And then you have goggles.
Okay.
And a face shield.
Oh, nice.
And you have to have rubber gloves, and you have to check them, make sure there's no holes in them. And then you put leather gloves on top of those.
Oh, nice.
And then you get a rubber mat.
Okay.
And I think for the most part, that's and it in varying degrees depending on how much amperage is there, potential for arc flash. There's even more you have to put on.
Gotcha.
So, and he didn't get a distance with some kind of hook. It depends. Again, it depends on the varying degrees. I've been in an MDP while it was hot, landing wires because we got to get this done today.
Damn.
So I've been there too, where it's like, all right, well, we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Damn.
Yeah. I always turn on breakers with my left hand so that I don't lose my right hand, just in case.
Whoa.
Yeah, but not home breakers. Home breakers are easy. There's not a lot of potential for arc flash, but anything I'm doing in a commercial setting, I will turn on with my left instead of my right.
I don't think my dad experienced the arc flash. I think that was something different. Yeah. All I know is that he was messing with the panel, wasn't being careful, and touched metal to something in the panel, and it goes.
Oh yeah, well it's a small arc flash. It's just they don't call arc flash. It's just like a spark or something. He probably hit.
They call that a little pussy sparkler.
Yeah, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
That's like a firecracker.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it was like.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Loud. I blew up a $10,000 dimmer
public toilet the other day. No.
I'm about to do one at your house. But no, I blew up a $10,000 dimmer cabinet.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun.
So in situations like that, does your insurance cover it, or you got to come out of pocket?
This was somebody else's job. This is like when I worked for somebody else. Okay. I thought I was going to get fired. But we were working on Mustang Elementary. I was running that job, and I had my apprentice with me, and Liz was going to come. She was bringing the kids, and they were going to come eat lunch.
Nice.
Well, we were working on something we couldn't finish, so they were out there waiting for me, so I was trying to rush. And I'm putting things together. I'm like filling this dimming cabinet together, and then I tell my apprentice go check some stuff. And I was like, I'm going to turn this on, and I stand right in front of it, which is dumb. I use my right hand, which is dumb. But I had switched the neutral and the hot.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it says right on there, right on the bottom left, do not switch neutral and hot.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I just can't read. So and I go to turn it on. and I didn't put the dead front on it, which is the thing that would block something if it was going to blow up.
Oh, shoot.
And it did. It went bam, just blew up right in my face. I lost some of my eyebrow. I got some metal stuck in my face here and there. And it singed my facial hair that I had at the time. And I was like, my apprentice, he was like, what happened? You know, I was like, I think I don't work here anymore. So I called my boss. I go out to Liz. I was like, I think I messed up. You know, we might be going home together here in a second. Let me call this guy.
You walk out for lunch. You look like the cartoon guy with like your hair and all the and like the ash on your face. Hey kids, who's ready for lunch?
The worst part is that she didn't see any difference in my face. She was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. I was like, did you not see? She's like, oh no, you look good. All right.
You're like, well, I know I look good.
Yeah.
Don't tell me something I don't know.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Honey, I look good, but do I look employed?
Nobody looks good with half an eyebrow, dude. No, you look deranged.
I really wanted to do, like when I was in high school, those cuts in the eyebrow. I thought that looked so cool.
Yeah.
But then the barber was like, yeah, like with your skin complexion, they probably won't grow back the way they should. I was like, he was basically saying like the type of hair that white people grow isn't as conducive to that type of thing.
Oh, really?
I know.
My grandma Pat. She's my grandpa's mom. So she's my great grandma.
Okay.
She goes, she cut off at 16, she cut off her eyebrows. She like shaved off her eyebrows.
Nice.
And they never came back. She did it to try it. She was like, oh, I just want to see if I like drawing them on and see if I like. And then she was like, oh, I guess I do because I can't get them back. She could not grow them back. Damn. She still hasn't from now on. That's
what the guy was telling me. He said you run the risk of it like permanently fucking up.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But so does she do fun designs or does she just gotta keep it?
Just anger. Just
Can you imagine, like, because she can't communicate non-verbally with the eyebrow, she has to like wipe up, like you tell her something that upsets her, she has to wipe them off and draw them at an angle.
Yeah.
She's like
a whiteboard.
And, like for her birthday, she opens a present. She's like, 1 second. It draws the surprise face on.
Or the thing is, you wake up that morning and you just bet on your day.
Yeah.
You're just like, good. What am I feeling today? I'm on my period. I'm pissed.
I would just draw right eyebrow normal, left eyebrow up. So anybody I look at.
Oh yeah, you should be able to like get a medium out of them. You know,
looks like I'm flirting with you.
Yeah. I had a friend who tattooed her eyebrows.
I've heard of that as well.
Yeah, and my grandma wanted to do that, but she ever since, I think that messed her up so bad that she has a really hard time with making permanent decisions.
Gotcha.
Because she will like. You know, think about that. You made at 16, you made the decision.
One flippant decision.
And your whole life.
Yeah.
You're just like, I guess no eyebrows for me. Damn. You know, I didn't mean to pluck that petal off that flower.
Golly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad those stories, like, I never tell those stories anymore because I'm not in like the trade with anybody. It's just me and then my apprentice and Liz doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But
I like hearing the story. Like, I guess I have a morbid curiosity because my fascination with the electrical stories comes from most things in our society aren't that dangerous anymore, or we've lost touch with the reality of some of the dangers of it.
Oh yeah.
Like if you just work in an office job, you know, like the most dangerous thing you do is probably your commute to and from work. But in your line of work, every day is dangerous and potentially life-threatening. And it kind of used to be like that, like way back in the day, that was just life. Yeah. But now you're like one of the few soldiering in these like tougher fields. So I think it's really interesting to hear about some of the risks and even some of the horror stories of, hey, this is to give you your lights in your room or, you know, to power your electric toothbrush.
Yeah.
This is what it takes.
Yeah.
You're killing people.
Well, whenever I was going to work, you don't think of it like that. You're just like, fuck, I gotta go in. I should have got so drunk last night. Like you really are. You're like working on electricity. People are hungover. It's like any other construction job.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
I was one of the good ones. Like I was like my dad was the boss, or my grandpa. I was raised by my grandparents, you know, but I call him dad.
That is his legal first name.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
His dad Campbell.
Daddy-O Campbell. Yeah. The old soup. But but no, you're there. You can't you can't you can't not show up to work if your dad's the boss.
Yeah, that's
true. You don't
true.
want to be that guy,
Yeah,
you know?
that's so true.
So I would show up, and I was fortunate enough that he showed me everything early. You know, he had my dad's one of the best electricians I know, probably one of the best electricians in the state. He went to the Navy, learned a lot of stuff there, went to Florida, learned about residential, did every form of it. He's done, he's been through everything, man. He's back whenever he started, the code book was only that big.
Okay.
Our code book now is like that big.
Dang.
Right. And I understand why like Trump and all them want to cut some of that crap out. But every rule in there is based on 75% or more, like these things killed people. Mm-hmm. Right. But that being said,
it's only overkill until it saves your life.
Exactly.
Then you're like, I'm glad I had that.
Yeah. But it's still one out of how many? You know, it's like one out of, it's enough to put it in a book. That's it. They vote on it every 3 years. They go through it, and they even like kind of take stuff out, put stuff in, move things around. And so it's its own little, what do you call it? Like you can get into it. Like I did for years. I was just like, oh yeah, you got to do this when you do code and this. And now, I mean, obviously it's like, it's over now, but like I'm not in industrial settings like I used to be or commercial. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, the other things that I thought were interesting, that we could touch on. Would you rather talk about your role as a dad and stepdad or as a comedy producer? What's more front of mind for you?
Probably a better comedy producer.
Okay.
No. Well, let's go ahead and do that one. I mean, as far as the kids go, I don't know. You want to do a half and half? We'll just see where we go. Let's start with the producing though.
Yeah,
I
let's
really
talk so because you started out as a comedian and then started producing shows, and now are probably definitely in the top 3, maybe even higher, like volume and quality of shows you produce consistently. You're definitely the best producer in the city, maybe in the whole state. Like they're like when anybody from out of state asks, there's only 3 names I give them for show producers, and that's Andrew Patterson, Evan Hughes, Nick Campbell.
Yeah,
that's the only 3, because of the level of success you've been able to achieve as a producer, the level of consistent quality output. I'm sure there was a ton of stuff you learned going from just a performer to now you're on both sides of it. What's that been like?
Well, first off, I think one of the benefits that I have is I did music for a long time. Yeah, with David. David Steele is my media guy. He's also my old bass player. We played
David Steele bass.
Yeah, I've known him since 6th grade. We've been homies since then. Been through a lot of shit. But I didn't realize he was together. We would like make the shows happen. I didn't know that was producing. I thought we were just putting on a show, right? You go to Blue Note, you'd be like, can we get a Thursday? And then you put the thing together, you know? I thought of it more like it was always the stage time. Stage time is how you get better. Yeah. Music or comedy. But in between the songs, I would banter, and I love that part. Gotcha. And so I would play and I would, joke around, and then we do a song, and then I'd try to, eventually it got to where it's like, hey, can you not talk in between every fucking song?
You're like, how do I do just the talking part?
Yeah. How would I just get, anyways, 1, 2, 3. Let me see. But I think, again, one of the benefits I have is that I had that stage time. And so I was kind of comfortable already. I had a really hard time in the beginning. I was really afraid. Like I would shake on stage when I played the guitar the first 2 years. Okay. And then one day Dave was like, I'm going to stop playing with you if you keep acting like this. I was
Damn.
Like, 100%. Well, he had to. I wasn't getting better. We had gotten a show with this band. Now it's pretty well known, but at the time it was at the 89th Collective. Used to be the Conservatory. Okay. It was with Moon Taxi. Okay. There's a band called Moon Taxi. And they were so good. They were legit. It was the first show with like a legit band. And I pussed my way all the way through it, dude. I shook. I was like, ooh, the quivering came through my... It was so bad because I didn't want to do bad in front of them. Damn. And then Dave was like, we got to do something about this. This is crazy. Like,
isn't it interesting that as humans, in our efforts to avoid failure, we often go directly to it? Yeah. It's only when you allow yourself like the freedom from that fear can you excel.
Dude, 100% is you bring about the thing that you want to avoid. Yes. It's one of my, I love Greek mythology just for that reason, because everything is like, I want to avoid this future that somebody told me about, this prophecy, and then they just walk their asses right into the prophecy. And I love that because it is. You ever, I mean, the shadow, the idea of the shadow is like, if you're afraid of it, then what is that from? Carl Jung, I think. Does that sound familiar? Anyways, it's this idea that whatever you're fearful of people finding out, because of the way it affects your decisions, it becomes this shadow that hangs over you.
Interesting.
Right. And so out of fear, you act differently than you would and not even authentically. You don't act authentically when you're fearful. Right. So you act like you would be if you're afraid, but you would make the same mistakes if you weren't fearful.
Okay.
You would make mistakes that are more in tune to what you are instead of, it's like practicing a bad habit.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? Is this clear?
Kind of. Basically that if you're living in fear, it is insidious and it corrupts from within.
Yeah. Well,
and eventually the secret will be revealed.
I agree that is a thing, but I also think that it affects how you make your decisions.
Okay,
So
that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it.
If you're on stage and you're working from a place of fear, the mistakes you make aren't going to build you better.
True.
Because you're not living from a place of authenticity. Because a mistake is like, oh, I did that wrong. That's another thing. I don't like thinking of mistakes as wrong, right? Okay. It's just like, that wasn't the result I wanted.
Okay.
If you make a mistake and you did it being your authentic self, well, if I fix that, then I fix that. If you do it being fearful and you fix it, well, was that even really the true problem? Or did you move in that direction because you were afraid? You wouldn't have moved that direction if you weren't. You would have went over here and made this mistake, and then you become more in tune to who you would probably really need to be.
Okay.
Versus the fearful side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So living in fear just hampers your ability to improve.
It does.
Gotcha.
Now, that being said, whenever I first started music, I built a lot of bad habits. So you just got to go in there and practice and then hit walls, right?
Yeah.
But after a while, if you start looking at it, you're like, I like to think of it like it's comedy. When I go back and watch my videos, I don't think like, was that funny? I'm like, is this what I want to see?
Okay.
Right? If I'm drawing a picture, are these how the mountains, this is how I like them to be seen? And so I try to think of it more like that, as like, would I watch this?
Gotcha.
I want to be the comedy that I want to see.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So instead of going like, what do they want? I go, what do I want to see in this?
Yeah. Like, what do I aspire to be?
Yeah. And I think that comes through. I think for the most part, I like being a silly goose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like a dad humor kind of like feel. I like to be a safe place. Like it's not, you come see my comedy, you're like, oh, it's fun and it's laughter. I got a few rough ones.
Yeah.
But just because those are fun.
You're like a warm blue collar dad. That's your vibe. Yeah.
And that's who I am. I mean, I just try to personify that a little bit more. I like to think I got Big Brother vibes too. So it's like, you kind of get that a little bit. But that being said, that all helped me.
Yeah.
And I spent all of my pandemic listening to Hot Breath.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to that?
Yeah.
And
Joel Byers.
Yeah, man. It's so the whole time I listened to Hot Breath, I was studying, and then whenever it came to go out and do comedy, I was like, well, I've been writing. I got all this stuff, I've been doing all these good habits. Let me go up here and do this. And I did it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going after that.
Nice.
Yeah. But the failures I had in business helped me accept the failures I had in comedy.
Okay. Because
those were real failures that came with numbers next to them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just fucking fell through this dude's roof. That's $500. This job means nothing.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Might as well just leave.
Yeah. That's yours now. Yeah. Just get out of there. No, my apprentice.
I know that you wanted me to rewire some of these lights. Instead of that artificial light, I gave you a skylight.
Yeah, don't you think?
That's natural light.
Don't you love that breeze?
Yeah.
That insulation coming through, that's normal.
Totally fine.
That'll stop.
That is asbestos I'm tasting, but yeah. Who wants to live to 80 anyways?
Yeah, speaking of asbestos, no, I did have a situation with asbestos whenever I was working a long time ago with my dad. We were working on this Rancho Village. It's like an elementary school.
Yeah.
And I was working all over this white package stuff. I was just working on it. I was like leaning on it and everything. And the next day I come in and the GC, he's like, it's all wrapped in plastic. And I was like, why'd y'all do that? I got to get up there. He's like, that was asbestos. Ooh. I was like, oh, damn. I better go smoke this cigarette.
So when was that? Have you noticed any lingering effects?
I've got stuff.
No way.
Yeah, my breathing is kind of fucked. Like, especially after the COVID thing, when that happened. But my parents smoked in the house, so I smoked cigarettes for 10 years.
So you're just like mixing all the lung irritants together. You got smoking, secondhand smoke, asbestos. That's a lot of them right there.
Weed. Yeah, weed's a big one.
Water. You do a lot of waterboarding recreationally.
Recreational water. You just put the towel over your head, a little jug of
Yeah.
water. Let's see. No, but it's, yeah, no, I
Your
can feel
lungs
it.
are going to be studied at Johns Hopkins when it's all said and done.
My grandpa smoked Marlboro Reds since he was 9 years old. Right? His birthday gift.
Yeah.
But he smoked Marlboro Reds since he was 9 years old. Starting at 9.
Yeah.
My whole life. Every morning he would get up and it was an hour to an hour and a half of coughing, hacking, sneezing, blowing stuff. Like I'm talking for so long. Dude,
like it almost feels like a put on.
It does. It's like, if you want me to leave, I'll fucking leave.
Are you okay?
I'm trying to watch the news.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, he did that for a long time. And me and my brother, you know, we both saw the decline and, but he quit. He quit cigarette. He got married to a lady. After
Nice. So conversion camp worked.
Yeah,
Okay.
he did. Yeah, we were a little worried there. But he goes, after mom passed, you know, a couple years later, he met this lady, and she was like, "You ain't living in my house, messing up my walls, doing all that stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And
so she was black.
he's a wuss, so he and she goes, but she did. She got him to stop smoking, and
Wow.
he doesn't do it anymore.
Damn.
And so I think of that, like I'm starting to do it. Like I'm starting to get up and like I can feel it. I'm not an hour, but I'm about 30 minutes of just like, yeah, dude, it's pretty rough, man. I'm almost 40. Like I said, it's the thing that's probably going to go, my lungs for sure. Yeah. Yeah. But that's why you got to use them right now, man.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't plan on getting much further in this anyway.
Shut it down about 40.
Yeah. But producing the shows, I learned a lot from Hot Breath. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And for me, I think me and Liz like to make events.
Mm-hmm.
We just did that before. We would like do events for our friends and like just come eat and like all that stuff. And so it's another thing we can share.
Yeah.
And I just love doing it.
That's
I love
cool.
putting together a show and watching it go off.
Yeah.
And putting together people that work well together. And then I genuinely like going to open mics.
Yeah.
I genuinely like watching open mic comedy at Bricktown.
Yeah.
And like I like doing that so I can see who's where and what they're doing, and then be like, oh, that'd be cool if they paired that with that guy, and then I do this. So it's like, at one time I equated it to building a Pokemon team.
I like that.
Yeah, because you have different types that work well together against different gym leaders, audiences.
Yeah.
And so the idea is like pick your best team and then take it up there and see what it does, and then take notes. That's like, oh, let's see how this goes. These work together, you know, this and then I try to put a quirk in it and use that as a way to see who works good together, and then we move them to the road like that. Then we go out and try to take them out to the road. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, but I just love I love producing.
I think one thing that you said that is something that is valuable for a newer comic to hear is sometimes if you're not getting booked on a certain show, it has nothing to do with you. It's the booker trying to put together a complete lineup that has the best well-rounded strengths and the best chance to work at a certain venue in front of a certain audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as you're one of the biggest comedy producers in the state, if you were going to give advice to a comic that was like maybe at our level or a little greener, what would you say? Now that you've seen, because you're what they're trying to get. You provide these great spots, like at great shows. People want these spots. What would you say is the best practices in terms of they're like what insight you could share as far as like putting together material, approaching bookers, marketing yourself, developing your skills, just now that you've seen it from a performer and a producer perspective, and you kind of have that full spectrum of knowledge?
That's a good question. Before I would tell people more often what I thought they would need to do. Now I'm not so sure.
Gotcha.
I feel like if you can throw somebody off track if you tell them what to do. Now, that being said, I do think everybody should have a clean set.
I do too.
I do think everybody should if that's not who you are, totally get it if it's not, but just be working that muscle. That's really what it is.
Just in case you should be capable of performing a 10-minute clean set.
Look at Mark Norman.
Yeah.
He can do it.
Yeah, he does corporate gigs where he has to do like a half an hour clean.
Yeah, and I think a well-rounded comedian should have a clean set. Just even like 10 minutes, you got it. And you need it because you need to be able to get these people to know who you are, accept that you're funny, and trust you.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you got that, then you can say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
All right? And then you kind of gauge them because you earn their trust. If they don't like something, you go, okay, yeah, but remember I was nice.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, that being said, I don't want to push anybody away from doing what they want to do. All right? Follow your comedic instincts. That's the same thing I try to do.
You're not saying what people should do. You're giving advice on what you should have the capability of doing.
Right.
That makes sense.
Because whenever I think to put people on, if you're new, I'm not going to put you up there. I'm going to give you a upfront spot.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to put you up there anywhere. I mean, you're going to get like after me.
Yeah.
If I'm hosting.
Yeah.
I try to keep it as clean as possible when I'm hosting.
Yeah.
Right? Because there needs to be a place for them to go right after. Like, because I can't be the dirtier guy because there's nowhere else to go for everybody else behind me, and you make the job harder for the last guy.
Yeah.
Person. People?
Entity.
The royal we. So what you see though is people writing edgy material, which is good. Again, it's hard to tell people. I don't want to tell people not to do it.
Yeah.
But know that you're going to be more hireable if you have a clean set that you can work off of.
Yeah.
Or make it palatable for people to hear your edgy stuff.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it. So that being said, I would if you're really looking to just get booked, get a 5-minute video with quality sound and where I can see you. And then the other piece would be make sure that people are laughing in it.
Yeah.
That you're not just doing your set and nobody's laughing.
Yeah.
So that would be that helps. Little bio, right? Get that video on there, small headshot, and then just be like, hey, is there anything you could like me to be on? Or these are my availabilities. Is there anything you have? And now this is the thing that I like to do.
Okay.
And it helps me too. Like if you come up and you go, hey man, I do this. I'll do your show for free just so you get to see what I'm bringing.
Yeah.
All right. If you like it, then maybe you can put me on something else later if you have a guest spot or something. That seems reasonable, right? I'll usually ask that, or I'll invite them to come to a show. Gotcha. Hey, if you got a chance, I got a free ticket for you. You can come to the show, kind of see what I do. Okay. And then usually after that, if they don't reply, I'll hit them back another month later. And then after that, I'll wait 6.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because they're either making a decision or they're not seeing you. So one of those two.
Yeah. And that's from because you're in the role of producer and person who's looking for spots. So you kind of get the whole package.
Yeah.
The whole perspective.
Yeah. Well, and I talk with a lot of people too, because I have that, like you and other people, I'll ask questions like, what do you guys see, or what you do all your work. That's the thing you do. Every time I see you, you're always working on towards something, yeah. Man. And I appreciate that because it's 1% better every day.
Yeah.
But some people are just like, you tell them to get a video and they're like, well, I don't have the gear. It's like, well, do the best you can with what you got and send me that.
Or I think the thing that I see that is like a little underutilized is like, hey, somebody who does, like, trade a favor with them. That's what I would do at the Grow. That's what I do in comedy, like for like recording sets. I'm like, hey, I have this camera and these mics. Like if you help me set up this thing, whether it's like help me edit part of the podcast, I'll get your video. Just like stuff like that. Everybody's got like some skills you can trade.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that. That's a really good idea. I like that a lot. I like building the ship as I'm sailing it. Okay. So it's like, all right, I got the phone. That's all I got. Yeah. Well, at least I've got that. I'm going to set it up. Yeah. And then, I got like a little mic, a little ambient mic. And then I had that for a while and it sounded a little better. Yeah. And then I got these new clip-on lapel mics and the whole world changed right after that. So it's, little pieces, little bits, little changes over time,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? Because let's see, I don't want to keep you too long. Let's see. Good. Yeah. Any final thoughts about comedy producing. You actually spoke a lot about learning from mistakes, which I thought was really, I liked that. I liked that a lot. You talked like in the electrical world, comedy world.
Well, I can
fear.
Something I like to speak to that is something I tell my kids that I wish somebody would have told me.
Yeah, and this is in terms of how to learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should. One of the things that used to be really hard for me is mistakes were detrimental. Like it was almost like that mistake means I'm bad.
Gotcha.
Right. Something that comedy and owning a business really helped me with it because I had to be a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
No doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It means that they just either don't have the money. It's never about you most of the time. And if it is, then there's something wrong with them. Like it shouldn't be about you.
Yeah.
You know,
don't lose your train of thought. I had a business professor. The way he termed it was in a sales role, they're rejecting the role you are in, not the real you.
Yeah.
They're just rejecting your role as a salesperson. They don't know you. So taking it personally is only harming yourself.
Right.
You have to just improve that craft and then forget about it when you go home.
Improve that craft.
Yeah.
Right? You're not bad. You're unskilled.
That's a great way to put it.
That's what it is. And then once I realized that, I still get it though. Like if I really tried or I really wanted a job and it doesn't go, I'm like, damn, why didn't they like me? What was it?
Yeah.
You know? And why didn't they want to do it? And then sometimes they didn't have the money. 2 weeks later, I get a call. And you're like, well, I beat myself up for 4 hours for that. So was I really? No, just kind of if there's anything I could tell people, and like I tell my kids this is like, the most important part of getting better is the recovery after a failure. It's not even like like you're going to fail, right? It's how much time you spend on the ground.
Oh, that's good.
Because as soon as you start doing the work again, that fucking feeling goes away. It goes away immediately. You don't even have to feel it. Or for me, I put it that way for me. My daughter has some like ADHD and like autistic stuff a little bit. And she will beat herself up because it's so important to be exactly right for her.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're battling right now it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be finished.
Yeah.
Once you have the product, then you can really start shaving the hard pieces off. But if you don't have anything, you have nothing to fix.
You know what quote? Because I used to be really bad about that as well. Just perfectionism to the point of paralysis. Yeah. The idea of you have to standardize before you can optimize. That was like a game changer for me. I like that.
Yeah.
Like you can't optimize what has not been standardized. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a standard set of operating procedures or a way that things are done, how can you improve? Like if I haven't completed the thing, how do I know what needs to be improved about the thing?
Right. You can't collect data on something that's not making data.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It. And so and then really it's a way for me, again, it's almost a way to avoid doing the work.
Gotcha.
You know,
okay.
It's like, okay, like if I tell myself that it can't be done, then I won't need to have to do it. Oh. You know? And that was like back in whenever like I said, with the business, it's so tied to your livelihood
you just got to do it.
Have to push past those moments.
Yeah.
That something that taught me too was like you don't stop until you reach the goal or until the deadline is right there. Mm-hmm. And that's what business taught me. So I took that to put a cork in it. I don't stop trying to sell tickets until it's 6:30.
Yeah, until the show is starting.
And I've gotten 10 people in under the wire right before very often just by not stopping. And it's only over until it's actually over.
Yeah.
You can call it in your head, but you still had an opportunity. Did you do everything possible? Mm-hmm. And then once you do that magic, you can translate that to everything else. Right. So that's what I did. I used to go shake hands and I got kicked out of a neighborhood by a lady with a baby. Damn. You know, you ever want to fight a baby? But we were there and we were just going door to door and I didn't know you had to have a permit for that.
I didn't know you had to.
I guess maybe you don't. Maybe she's being a bitch. But she comes up. She goes, and her and her husband are on a walk, and they're pushing the stroller, and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? I got my name on my shirt. Everything is like I'm a person, you know. She goes, you know, you're not supposed to be doing this out here. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you can't go door to door, and her husband was like, oh man, stop. She goes, you can't be out here like this. I'm going to call the HOA. This is illegal. I was like, all right. Hey, we'll get out of here. It's not even a big deal, dude. Hey. But I put the kibosh on it for a little while. But there for a while, if I was working in your neighborhood, I was going to walk the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I would leave and go to my next job, and I would walk that neighborhood.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. And then I would put yard signs wherever anybody would, have real conversations with people. Like if you're working in your yard, ask them about their day and just see who they are, what they like, what they're into. And he said, hey, I got this sign. I'm just starting out. Do you think I'll give you 10% off your next, whatever it took. I was hungry,
Yeah.
And that taught me how to do the rest.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a good skill.
Man.
Yeah.
I respect the grind a lot. I respect it a lot. Electrical wise, dad wise, comedy wise. You have your nose to the grindstone. You're always moving forward. I respect that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Same to you, man.
Thank you.
That's why I put comedy on the spot so much.
I like that show.
Yeah, dude. You're freaking good at it. You're really good at it. You're really good at hosting. You have a really great fun-filled vibe. It's like we're having fun. We're going to have fun whether you like it or not. That's what I like. But you're always working. You're very professional, and you're always in your notes, and I love that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
dude, thanks for coming on today.
Absolutely.
This was fun.
You. Yeah. You want to do one of these?
Yeah. Now it's time to go hit the open mics, bomb, and accept the reality that we have to get a lot better.
Yeah. It's all about the recovery.
Exactly. I'm going to go bomb tonight, but instead of sulking about it, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to be like, you know what? Just like Nikki Campbell said, I'm not going to stay down low. I'm going to keep writing these freaking jokes.
Did I say that? Did I say Nikki?
No, I just made that up to make you sound like a mobster.
I like that.
Dude, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
We'll catch you next time on the Trout Pod.
Bye, guys.